Well, cheers and welcome to From Behind the Barcast, podcast for bartending, service industry, drinking in general, and self-immolation. I'm Paxton Eugene. We got Kelly on the ones and twos back there. We are recording live from Inferno Hot Sauces. Brian is our guest. Thank you so much for joining us today. This week, like every week, we're brought to you by Firemaker Beer. Visit firemakerbeer.com for more details. Actually, Brian, you were our very, very first sponsor, like episode 5 or something like that. You walked over with a handful of cash. You were like, want to sponsor podcast? I was like, hell yeah. We'll mention you every week. Before we get to the hot sauce hustle and all that, you coach youth sports.
Yeah.
Kind of a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Middle school, like aged?
I coach 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in basketball, and I assist Clay Culver in soccer.
Is that for middle schools, or is it like rec leagues? Or
that's for the Tybee Island Maritime Academy.
Okay,
middle school in Tybee. And then I also coach Y Soccer 12U, which is obviously just local kids.
Okay, so a few years ago, my buddy Jason Winkleman, self, and I, the league around here for the youth that's not associated with a school is called Savannah United, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like a traveling league, local league. So we picked up a U12 team, and we named it Savannah City because Manchester City is my favorite squad, and it's called Savannah United. So I needed something to do the offset. But so we coached U12s, and at the U12 age, they're cognizant enough to listen.
Sometimes.
And you can get something across to them during your practice sessions. But once it's on the pitch, everything kind of goes out the window. But the thing that my reticence to go into it at all were the parents, because I thought that we would have parents that would be like, you're not playing my kid enough, or you can't, punish him for this, or, reprimand him. It was the exact opposite. The parents were like, he missed that ball. You need to set him down for about 10 minutes. Or anything that would happen, these parents would implore me to by proxy punish them for something they probably did somewhere else. In terms of the other parents that you, that of the kids that you're coaching, what's that relationship like for you?
For me personally and for Clay, we have a great relationship with all the parents. This is our 6th season. So there's 2 seasons of soccer a year now. So you got a fall and a winter. This is our 6th season together. We're back-to-back champions. We're 9 girls, 5 boys, and all the parents know us personally, and it's they leave their kids in the hands of us to
Okay, so they're not constantly giving you notes like, hey, be a little harder on Jason?
Every parent's individual. There's a few that have told me basically that I can beat their kids, and then there's a couple that I know to leave alone, and if they can't kick a ball, they can't kick a ball.
Listen, corporal punishment is not off the table. Okay, don't tell Ethel that I told you that. But inherently, with kids of that age, and you kind of want to avoid this because in terms of being a coach, especially at that level, at that age, you're more of an educator than like a coach, because like the stakes aren't super high. Obviously, you want to win all the time, whatever. But no matter what the sport is, but especially basketball and soccer, there's always 2 or 3 standouts on the team that you're like, all right, it's late in the second half. Give it to Ricardo.
You're not coming out of the game, no matter whether it says everyone has to play half the game or not. Yeah, for sure.
And it was a battle that I had because, there were kids who I wanted to learn, you can have all the talent in the world, but sometimes not having talent, but having game knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
And being a role player, will behoove you better in the future as any kind of athlete, or just essentially socially, because it translates all over the place. How often do you find you're like, just give it to Ricardo, man? He's gonna.
It's every game at least once. Yeah, for sure. Ricardo Phoenix Brown on Tybee Island. Right, yeah, for sure.
We were talking about earlier before the podcast. You live in your world and you coach your team and you play against the teams you play against, but then you go to certain places where it's like, you got 8 short white kids playing basketball. And then you go to like say Myers Middle School or something where it's like 6 tall black kids who are just automatically better at basketball anyways. Not just because their athletic prowess is typically better than a white person's, but also they've been playing that game their whole lives. This might be the first year that kids have played basketball at all.
Absolutely.
Because it's I went to Myers a very long time ago, and we didn't have a school basketball team until 7th or 8th grade. They hadn't even implemented it then. I don't think middle school basketball was like a thing back then, anyways. But then once they did implement it, it was like Myers was running the table on everyone.
Oh yeah, they run the table for sure. Yeah,
because location, it's like that. It's just like recruiting. You just get lucky with where your school is.
Yeah, and they wake up and they are where they live, and they go play basketball with their friends, and our kids go surfing or play Xbox with their friends. I mean, you're like,
we might have lost this basketball game, but come surf against us.
No chance.
No chance. Is it outside of the stress of managing expectations and seeing the sadness in kids' eyes? The reward, obviously, you've done it for this long. The reward is obviously
it's resiliency, man. I mean, the kids get waxed, and at the end of the game, you're giving them a speech, and as soon as you walk out, they're picking a ball up and shooting in the hoop. They already forgot what you said.
Yeah, that's another beautiful thing. Yeah, and there's something else to be said for like say baseball or football, the equipment requirement and the personnel requirement to participate in those sports. Like basketball, you can have a ball, 2 kids, and you go to a park and you shoot.
Yeah.
Soccer,
you get good by yourself.
You go by yourself if you want to. Soccer, you got 1 ball. If you find a net or just a wall somewhere, you can go kick it around and play. So it's like, all these big poor countries are the best at soccer because all they need is a damn ball. They don't, they don't need all the facilities and stuff.
No shoes, no shin guards. Good at soccer.
Exactly. They're like Jean-Claude Van Damme kicking the tree 1,000 times. Like their shins are impenetrable.
It's awesome. I wouldn't trade coaching these kids for anything. I mean, they're awesome. They all got cool personalities. We had a game. We're back-to-back champs in the Y soccer, and I have 9 girls and 5 guys. Most all of the girls are 2 years underage. And at halftime the other day in the first playoff game, we're giving this. Clay and I are like trading speeches and trying to pump the kids up. We were up 4-0, and I was scared they thought we already won. And we're telling them about how the other team can come back, and you got to play your game. And one girl raises her hand and says what position she wants to play in the middle of our speech, and then the other girl raises her hand and says, "Hey, coach, haven't gotten hit in the head once with a soccer ball this year," and she's famous on our team for getting plowed in the head with soccer ball.
She's got a head magnet.
And literally 2 minutes into the second half, she was on the ground. She got plowed in the head with a soccer ball. And I go out, and we're walking off, and these are 10 and 11-year-old kids, boys and girls. And all my kids are like, "You jinxed yourself." And we're like, so, I mean, and when I get her to the sideline, and she was happy, and she thought it was hilarious.
And see, it's nice nowadays that kids are so much more aware, with the internet and things like that, that like being the foil, being the goof, being the, the butt of the joke. That's not the worst thing in the world. 20 years ago, a kid gets hit in the head like that. It's embarrassing almost,
Yeah.
Now they're like, I got myself right. Presto manifesto or karmic retribution instantly. Did, back to, outside of coaching, and you've been coaching for a while now. How long prior to starting the hot sauce shop was it an idea in your mind, and or was it
this shop?
This shop.
Well, Donnie actually started this shop. I moved here in 2018, and I had a few restaurants in Atlanta, and
so you come from the restaurant world?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had 3 restaurants in Atlanta, and the last restaurant I had was kind of a cool little neighborhood bar and grill, neighborhood farm to table thing. And we had a metal back door, and we had North Georgia farmers come up, and they would rap on the door, and we'd open the door, and they'd have a 5-gallon bucket of peppers or whatever. And what can you do with 5 gallons of jalapenos or Thai chilies or whatever? So we'd ferment them and got into making hot sauce and all that kind of stuff. And then when I moved here, started playing golf with Jason Dubuque, who owns Fat Tire, and
Yep.
he was good friends with Donnie, who had started this shop, and Donnie had to move back to Milwaukee, and this was kind of his baby. He was a lover of.
Oh, so it was already a little bit turnkey, like the structure was here. Well, I knew the structure was here, but it was already a setup.
It was a setup. It wasn't his full-time job. He's a big in the music world. Him and his wife did like huge.
Oh yeah, they managed.
Acts.
Yeah,
she did Beyonce.
You
and
too.
Oprah. He did Andrea Bocelli. He does Jelly Roll now. Is the last thing I've heard. But this was kind of his baby. He
Right,
loved
sure.
hot stuff. And it was only open a couple months a year. And when he decided he wanted to move, he didn't want to close the doors, and he wanted someone that was interested in food and all that stuff. And there was a lot of people supposedly that were interested, and he interviewed me a few times, and I told him my story, and he gave me the opportunity.
Oh, so there was a auditioning period almost.
Kinda, sorta.
For the further representation of what he created and
Yeah.
the vision that he had for it,
Mhm.
he wanted to make sure that it carried on in that particular way. What was his inventory like? Was it anything like this?
I came here. I opened up 2 weeks before COVID. I opened up February 1st of 2020, and there was probably. He ran it pretty low because he wasn't open in the wintertime. There was probably 50 bottles of hot sauce
Really?
and barbecue sauce, and
Did he run it by himself, or did he?
Fran Galloway worked for him. I don't know if you know Fran.
Oh yeah. I know,
And
yeah.
and it was open just Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
I
and-
gotcha. I mean, yeah, the market for hot sauce generally, I would think, and especially on a small island, being open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if you're already independently wealthy,
Yeah,
it makes sense.
he didn't need it.
Yeah, you're not like out here trying to market every day and be
Yeah.
like, oh, I missed $14 because I wasn't open Monday morning at 9:00 or anything like that.
And in fact, like a kind of funny story is I didn't really know too many people back then. I had just moved here, and I had just gotten out of years in the restaurant industry, and my wife was like, why don't you take like a year off and blah, blah, blah. So I really didn't do much the first year. I started coaching, then I started working at Fat Tire 1 day a week, and then I met Jason, and this kind of fell in my lap. And when it happened, I was like, I'm going to go celebrate by myself. We had a young kid, and I didn't really know anybody, so I went to the North Beach Grill, and they had the old tiki bar out.
Yep.
And I was sitting there by myself drinking a beer, and there was 4 people, some of who I know who they are now that I won't mention, and they were making fun of the guy that had just paid the money for the hot sauce shop. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like trying so hard not to be like, that was me.
Your
But that's
bottom
the
lip
small
is
town-
almost bleeding.
That's a small town foot in your mouth, which I've done myself a few times around here. But I'm happy I got it. It's fun. It's rewarding. I mean, it's turned into. I've added a ton of stuff, and
Oh yeah, I mean it's filled out very well, but so it was a natural transition, I guess, coming from
I've never done retail before. I've
right.
always
Yeah.
been like slinging pans or making pizzas or something.
Yes, you're always back of house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of that must at least there's the carnal knowledge of like flavors, heat levels, all that stuff that would transfer over. But the thing that doesn't transfer over is retailing and face to face, interfacing with the people that walk in the door.
Yeah.
But I imagine here, unlike say bars or restaurants where people are drinking across the street from us right now. And they probably come over here drinking, but they don't come here to drink and then get rowdy, whatever. I would imagine that typically whoever the customer base that you do have coming in here, very specifically, they're like, we're here to either try something, put ourselves through pain, discover something that we haven't discovered yet. Is that so? I imagine like the customer base is pleasant overall.
For the most part, I do enjoy finding stuff that you can't find on Amazon and small batch creative stuff. But the most rewarding part of this is making people cry.
Making people hurt. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I learned that the first night when a John Mellencamp cover band from Indiana, of all places, came in here with a podcast and a YouTube channel, and they thought they were hilarious. And literally, it's the first night I ever worked, and 2 of them ended up puking in the parking lot on crushing Fanta oranges from burning. And so I mean, that is
Was that your recommendation? Like, oh, if you're burning real bad, crush some Fanta
No,
oranges?
absolutely not. No. It was the first thing. He offered to pay after he downed 3 of them. Yeah.
Do you? I mean, is there a bit of what would it be called? Is it masochism where it's like, yeah, try that one?
Not as bad as Harold, but yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Absolutely.
because people come in like, you know, but I would imagine typically the hot sauce experience, if someone's coming in to sample something, it's not like give me your mildest sauce or anything like that.
No, there's 50% of people walk in this door. The first thing they say is, "I don't like hot stuff," and then the 50% that walk in that like hot stuff. I mean, it's hard to make some of them get to that point, but
where they're hurting?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be an interesting,
it's fun.
you know, thing though. It's
Absolutely.
like, all right, well, let's try this. Let's try this. What was the so you said because you know, in the age of Amazon and all that shit, you know, most things are available
Right.
to you, but there's something to be said for walking into a place and like looking around. It's like this. It's a spectacle. Number one, hot sauce bottle art is almost like craft beer can art. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
everything's interesting looking.
Marketing,
Yeah.
clever words.
Right.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And then having, you know, and I'm sure you guys literally every day that you're here. Do you have anything from the Hot Ones
Absolutely.
line? Yeah.
What's your hottest thing, and do you have the hot ones? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Does that was there you probably opened after Hot Ones was a thing, right?
Yeah, it was just getting incredibly popular by the time I opened. And
Yeah.
then I think COVID like sent it over the top.
Yeah, I was
People
going to say
sitting at
because
home.
I wonder if there had been a sea change between like businesses one way, Hot Ones becomes really popular, and all of a sudden would there be like a boost? You know?
Absolutely. I mean, Hot Ones is incredibly beneficial to this
Really?
shop. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Especially
I mean, I have a section over there that says Hot Ones. And
Yeah, I was about to say
stuff that's out of their seasons and stuff.
yeah, for sure. And Hot Ones changes, you know, every other year or something like that. So
Every
that's
season, yeah.
every season, yeah. And so you stay on top of that just because
I try.
sorta, yeah. But you probably stay on top of it for the hotter end of it
Yeah,
more
for
than
sure.
the lower
Yeah,
end. Yeah.
For sure.
And yeah, and the
bomb, yeah.
bomb over there, you know, as many times as I've watched the show, and I know that the Pepper X, Diablo, whatever, but once they get to the bomb, that's when everything changes. And then it's almost like the next two after that are just kind of
Yeah.
a side piece. And the bomb tastes terrible. It is just pure sting. Do people come in asking more for the bomb or any of the other ones?
It is, you know, your majority frat boy groups that come in. You can tell who's coming in to test themselves for sure. Every once in a while, there's a kid that comes in. There was a 12-year-old kid that came in and ate the 9 million Scoville gummy bear on Saturday, whatever day I worked last, and I made his mom come over from Huckapoo's and
sign a release.
Yes, and I knew him from weeks. Every time him and his buddies come sit up there, they all come over here and try stuff. And I always tell them, if your parents are okay with it, it's fine with me. So she came over and she was like, whatever, I don't care. And she told him to eat like just a little leg off of it, and he popped the thing in his mouth and he sprinted out of the parking lot around Zunzi Bar, and he was back here in about 9 seconds. And after about 10 minutes, he was fine. So I get.
He didn't ask for a Fanta or anything?
No, I gave him a few Yoo-Hoos. The chocolate water doesn't do the trick, although some people think it is. But there are people that can come in here and can handle it. But I'd say 90% of the people that come in here that think they can handle it can't handle it.
Yeah.
The Tybee Bomb is, I know Da Bomb is what people come in here and they're facially recognized from the show or whatever, but we always taste them on that and they say it's stupid hot or it tastes terrible, and then we give them the Tybee Bomb, and the Tybee Bomb can pretty much wreck anybody.
So, talking about your restaurants in Atlanta, and these farmers would bring up the chilies and everything, and you would start, you know, fermenting, trying to develop hot sauces. Was that sort of the genesis of having your own branding of hot sauces?
A few new flavors. There was a base. There was a base of flavors that Donnie had started, but I wanted to add a bunch of different flavors to the mix. And
Sure, yeah.
there was definitely in different styles and fermentation.
Was
and
he
stuff.
like at like 4 or 5
he had
uniques?
about 9, and
Okay.
we're up to 17 now.
And so do you workshop the recipe yourself and then?
I have a guy in Savannah that owns a business behind the Whole Foods, and him and I kind of work together. And he has all the he has the licensing to bottle, and he'll work with me on dry rub flavors and spices and stuff like that, because we sell as much dry rubs to people as we do hot
Really?
sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, so we keep a few of your hot sauces over there, but I think it's the Tybee Bomb, and we keep the
I'll keep the
cayenne and then
low
the
country
hot
garlic.
and then the garlic one. There's another one that we had over. It might have been the Tybee Bomb that we had over there. The label not far enough away from some of the other labels, and they asked for just the normal hot sauce, and I accidentally gave that to them. It wasn't a good day for them, but. So people walk into a bar, they start drinking. They think they can drink, just like they think they can take hot sauce, whatever. All of a sudden, in like an hour, they're like, I've been overserved. You gave me too much. I'm mad at you. You probably don't necessarily have to deal with that here, because it's like you're coming into a hot sauce shop to get burnt, and if you get burnt, you're not gonna bitch about it.
No.
So at least you have the cover of being like, look around.
You asked for it. Yeah. Most people think they're cool, or they're showing off, and those are the people that 20 minutes later they all act cool here, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
And then they come back, and we sell them a King of Pops. There's your plug, King of Pops.
It's like the principal in Ferris Bueller, he runs and then he stops at the door of the class so that no one knows that he's running down the hall. They're like, yeah, we're totally fine. Does it
I try to keep the puking to a minimum here with my friend Dana next door.
So I didn't know they had
painting next.
I didn't know they had gummy bears like the Stars of Death or anything like that.
It's called the Little Nitro. It's right there. It's the world's hottest. It's
So
one gummy bear.
I've seen the Toe of Satan before.
Same company. Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And the kid popped the whole thing. Now I don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but everyone thinks they have a remedy for cooling their mouths. If there is, don't tell me what it is. But if there is one, is there one, or is there?
There's temporary relief, which I tried to carry milk.
I was gonna say
You
on
can't
the back
buy
end.
the small things,
I
and
was
they
gonna
go
say
out.
on the back end, having those King of Pops or whatever,
Oh, yeah,
or like
they're good,
creamsicles. That might be where the money.
Yeah,
is.
I love the King of Pops, and they're from my hometown, and I always liked them. So now I have an excuse. I used to send people up there to get a ramekin of sour cream.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, eating 2 ounces of sour cream is not that delightful in itself. I mean,
I was all right, don't tell nobody this. For Thanksgiving one year, I was making some jalapeno mac and cheese to bring up to Huckapoo's. So I'm cutting the jalapenos and making all the stuff, whatever. My girlfriend and I were at the house, and we decided, I was like, before we go up there, let's get a little, let's have a little jaunt. So I've touched some things with my hands. She goes, stop now.
Yep.
I go into the bathroom afterwards. She had sour cream. That's all I'm gonna say. So sour cream does seem to be like, or how do you? What's the typical reaction when you try and make people understand that, like, hey, look, there's something for you here. Like, we can fit your tastes if you want it. But you have to understand, if you haven't eaten yet today and you eat the gummy bear, it's going to come right back up.
Right.
Yeah. Do you not have any waivers that you have people sign?
We
or
do
anything?
have waivers.
You do? Yeah.
They send them with the.
Oh,
stuff,
with each
'cause
particular.
They don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Pocky one chip thing.
Yeah, I quit carrying that because they signed a deal with Walmart, so they don't sell wholesale anymore.
Oh, wow.
And that was before that kid died, which.
Oh, a kid died.
this year, a high school kid. Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Really?
Mhm. But obviously he had some sort of underlying something or another. But he passed away. But they had already taken the wholesale licensing away from it.
They're expensive as shit, anyways, right?
They were like $8 wholesale. Yeah.
Oh. I think they discontinued them a while ago, and I looked on the. Not that I was going to eat the thing because I'm terrible with hot sauce, but they were selling them for like $80 on eBay, I think, because
what they do is so they release October the 1st every year. Okay. They make a certain batch amount, and once they're sold out, and they do every year they do a different flavor. So they'll do like a blue chip one year they'll do a flavored chip, and when they're sold out, they're done. So people go. I've actually met a girl came in here that had an Amazon store to come buy me out one time, and that was her way of making money. So they buy them, and then once they're sold out, then you go to Amazon or eBay, and they just rise.
Market goes up, yeah.
But I quit. I don't know. There's so much hot stuff. I mean, I got freeze-dried Skittles. Now I got freeze-dried ice cream. I mean.
Oh, well, so, yeah, that leads into my next question. In terms of choosing inventory, outside of, things you just can't get from Amazon, is there like a balance where it's like, all right, I want to have enough stuff where it's all mild enough where any person can walk in and they'll enjoy it. This is what you use for eggs. This is what you should use for this and that. And then medium to high. What's the method in your stocking and inventory?
There's basically 2 major distributors in the U.S. for hot sauce, and then there's a ton of chefs or people that
small batch producers. Yeah.
So there's a couple of artist markets online that I have gotten heavily into, and I research them and I deal with them, and I mostly go for flavor. Now the thing is, you do have to have really hot stuff in here because people do love. There's a limit for me. Like I'm kind of like you. Like I'll put hot sauce on stuff, but I don't have zero interest in.
Oh, I bet you. Now that I'm thinking about it, I bet they think you're smoking Ed Curry in some sort of way where it's like, oh, you must love the hottest shit. It's like, actually, no, it hurts me just as bad.
I'll try any bottle I open. I'll try.
Sure, yeah.
Once, but I immediately know. I can smell it and tell whether or not I'm interested in it or not. But I definitely go into the artist markets and I try to find cool. I mean, how many different garlic habaneros can you have?
Right.
How many different cayenne pepper sauces can you have? A lot of the hot sauce industry is private labeled, where you're talking about the cool, like the funny marketing and stuff. So there's a lot of companies that they just mass produce one hot sauce, and
but then they label it differently for whoever's
a lot. Really? If you'll see like a lot of rock musicians or I don't want to give away too many of the secrets.
No, not trying to pull back the curtain.
But you can definitely look at a hot sauce and tell. There's a lot of people coming up with cool ideas now that interest me, and as long as people come in here and get to the testing table and I can point them towards that direction, they'll usually like it. But there are a decent amount of people that come in here, and if I don't have something that lights
that's
their
just
ass on fire,
kill
they have
them.
Zero interest in
really
that.
Yeah. Well, and I get that.
I keep a decent inventory of that.
Sure.
I keep a decent inventory of lower mild stuff for people that come in that are buying a gift for somebody, and then I keep the majority is medium to hot that I find cool or that interests me when I read about it.
And that's useful on a day-to-day basis instead of just at the frat house, like let's see who cannot shit their pants right away. And then so outside of just pure sauces, I see you got some Fox Brothers barbecue sauce. They're in Atlanta, right? Yep. Are you direct with them?
For the most part, yes. They're the guy. One of the owners is friends with Harold. Harold, if you don't know him, everybody knows him on the island. But if you don't know him, he works here. But he's a local guy. But he's from Atlanta, and he's friends with one of the guys.
Word, yeah. And so, all right. So then, outside of sauces, and then I see you have hot honey here too, as well from Savannah Bee.
Yep.
And but then there's your cheese balls, which are incredibly hot.
Some of them are. I mean, they got incredibly famous because of Edo. I mean, the ranch habaneros. But yeah, the lemon pepper ones are stupid hot. But those are something I can't keep in stock.
They look so innocuous.
The marketing, just from the name. I mean, I literally sell. I can't even tell you how many of those I sell a week.
Do I see? Is that a bag of coffee over there?
Yes. That is definitely.
What the hell is? I've just like Hugapoos. People are like, "Oh, when did that sign get put up there?" I'm like, "I don't know. There's a million things around here." I've never seen
I
that.
sell tons of that coffee. That's called.
Wake the fuck up.
I can't say it. So when you guys first started in your initial many iterations of From Behind the Barcast, my mom's from Savannah. She has a lot of Tybee, and we had a house on Tybee growing up on the Back River, and I was like, "Oh, you got to check out this podcast. It's really cool. It's all Tybee stuff." And she called me the next day, and she was like, "Brian, they said the F word like 100 times in the show yesterday," and that was before you did the F count or whatever.
I was trying to say
So
that.
last night for Mother's Day, I told her I was doing this, and she said, "You better not drop the F-bomb on that podcast." So I'm not going to say the name of that coffee for my mom.
I said it for
But
you.
yes, I sell tons of that coffee. And it's really good. It's almost like an espresso. It's like super strong.
Is it already ground or is
And
it beans?
It's ground, and you know,
So do
I'm not
they-
going to go, and obviously I'm not going to go into competition with
Yeah.
the wonderful Beth and Jane over there.
course,
But
of
it's
course
a
not.
name.
Do they just coat? Do they coat the beans before they grind them with pepper dust, or is
No,
it?
it's literally just super strong over roasted coffee.
Oh, so
It's not spicy.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
So
it's
I
like
carry a bunch of stuff that's not spicy. I started the Bloody Mary line. I try to keep it somewhat local.
I see you have some pickled things over there too.
Got a bunch of pickled stuff. Got a bunch of barbecue sauce. I brought in I lucked out during the pandemic with the cigars. I've
was about to
never
say,
smoked a cigar in my life, and I sell so many cigars. And that's my one lie. People come in and ask me what's the best thing, and I'm like, I have to say,
Yeah.
I don't smoke cigars, but I sell. I mean, I had no idea how many people smoke cigars. It's unbelievable.
I sort of have an idea because whenever they light one up at Huckapoo's, I don't care where you are. You can smell that thing.
I like the way they smell. I like the way cigarettes smell.
I don't
smoke cigarettes,
mind. Yeah, I like the continuing smell, but the initial smell,
Yeah.
it's sort of jarring. Just like those jars of pickled things up there. So you have spicy pickled eggs.
but those are quail eggs. I have. I'm kind of low on my pickled stuff right now. I'll stock up heavy for Memorial Day, but I got capers and olive mix. I got dilly beans, okra, bread and butter hot pickles, sweet jalapenos. That one kind of over there is like called the Georgia mix. It's Vidalia onions. I got pickled green tomatoes.
Okra or anything?
I got okra. Yeah,
Oh,
spicy and mild.
I love
yeah.
some orca.
Mhm.
Now, do people that come in here typically know about extracts? Because so over at Huckapoo's, which is right across the street over here on beautiful Tybee Island from Inferno Hot Sauces, come visit. Every once in a while, they'll have one of those extracts over there, and they'll all sit around a table like a bunch of Einsteins, and stick a toothpick in it and see who can last the longest.
Mhm.
Are people familiar, like those hot sauce peers are like, I'm here for you to burn my ass off? Are they familiar with the extract game?
Not most people are not. No. So
And the application outside of pure self-immolation, is it to put one drop in a stew or something like that?
yeah,
Is that the
absolutely yeah. That's what I tell people. Is either if you're cooking 5 gallons, if you're a competition chili chef and you don't want to cut peppers for 30 minutes, you can fill it, 5 gallons, 1 drop, or if you want to just burn your friend's ass.
And does the
but it's mostly to hurt people.
yeah, does the flavor transfer through though?
No, there's no flavor.
It's literally
burnt
just
oil.
adding-
It's
yeah.
burnt oil. It's literally just extracted. They take the seeds and the white pith from all the hottest peppers, and they boil
'Cause
them in
that's
oil.
the hot part, right?
Slow, low,
Yeah.
let it go, and then it just gets stupid hot. And then they reduce it or whatever they want to do. And
Have you found business-wise, like turning making it a viable business? Has there been obviously early in any business, you're getting things figured out. You get, you're buying inventory, you're buying equipment, all these things. How long does it take typically, especially in the hot sauce game, to where it's like, a viable business? Ever?
it's it takes a minute to figure out the inventory and what people want. You can overbuy.
Sure.
And then, there's only so many different hops. I almost took out a third of this year and went into private labeled vinegars and extra virgin olive oils because, I mean, I don't want a 2-year-old hot sauce on the,
I was gonna say, but the shelf life's pretty good on most hot
they
sauces.
are, and honestly, it's even better than it says. They have by law in agricultural law, they have to have the maximum is 2 years, so they have to put that on there. But there's so much vinegar or whatever in there that
it's just like a pickled thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
You have to put it, and it's not going to go bad. So.
Yeah, you just don't want old inventory sitting there.
But yeah, so if you come
that
in,
is old.
If you come in and Harold's working, he's got his favorites. If you come in and I'm working, I got my favorites. So those things fly out of here. Everything else is kind of based on a lot of people come in here and solely pick for the label or whatever, or someone comes in for something specific, and I can point them towards something that might not be a favorite, but would be very good for what they're looking
I imagine that there would be like 30% of the inventory is like, it's always going. Like people, they're like, I'm coming to get crack balls. I'm coming to get this. I'm coming to get that. It's a very specific thing.
Especially for locals. I mean, for being in a tourist, I do have I have a good local clientele but they come in here and they're here for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
They come in and walk and grab it.
I got a refill on this and refill on that and refill on this.
Yeah.
So David Chang, I'm sure you've probably heard of him. So he's, Momofuku. So he's, I believe he's in a little hot water for trademarking Chili Crisp.
Is he? I haven't read that yet because I almost started carrying this Chili Crisp in here.
So apparently, in that world, trying to trademark and own the name Chili Crisp.
Oh, he's trying to trademark it?
Yeah, is like trying to trademark a word like fat. Like you can't say fat anymore. Spike TV did it a while back. Like you couldn't. They own the trademark to Spike, so if you said Spike anywhere, you're paying them a dividend. Yeah. And so Chili Crisp, it's just like chili oil, I would imagine.
And it is incredibly popular right now. I mean, I carry 4 different kinds, and they're all different. But they're not going to call them Chili Crisp anymore now. Are they not?
I think it's full on like that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he's one of my favorites. So
no, understood. It just seems, it's
crazy.
It seems kind of dirty to.
He's got,
and he wasn't the first to make Chili Crisp.
Correct.
So
it's been in the
it's
before the Great Wall was built. Chili Crisp was being made. Yeah.
What is your application of hot sauce on a day-to-day basis? I mean, I work at a bar, but I still drink a lot. It doesn't sour me on, imbibing just because I'm surrounded by it all the time.
I work at a hot sauce,
but
doesn't bother me from drinking either.
Yeah. But I imagine here, like you're like, I could not look at hot sauce for the next week and wouldn't care. Is it something you implement in your everyday life?
Pretty much, yeah.
Really?
But it's mild. It's
you're not sucking the devil's toenail every day.
No, I'm not sucking the devil's toenail or any extract. Not to toot the Inferno's horn, but the garlic habanero, it's just my everyday hot sauce.
It's fantastic.
I have no need for, and there are a few, I like a lot of Indian food and a lot of curries and stuff like that. There's a few.
You keep the Walker's Wood here?
I do carry the jerk.
Yeah, the jerk.
Yeah,
amazing.
I love Walker's Wood.
Yeah.
And there's 2 or 3 really good curry hot sauces that I like. That I'll add if we're making something at home. I got an 11-year-old. He doesn't want to burn his butt off. But there's a company, really cool company out of Vermont called Angry Goat, and they make an awesome curry hot sauce called Peace and Curry.
Yeah.
There's a company in Lakeland, Florida called Fat Cat. They make one called Puri Puri that's like a peri peri knockoff, and it's awesome. It's not hot at all. And so I do use a bunch of that stuff for certain situations, but the garlic habanero, for the most part,
it's the right heat level, and it doesn't. Kelly, for a gift, got me the 3 Humphreys McGee hot sauces.
Oh, are they doing it now?
4 years ago, yeah, they just did like a run where it was rage, rest, repeat, and they got hotter as you went along. And they have a garlic habanero as the rest, I think it's called. Yeah, I'm able to use that, but they give you a headband with it as well.
Cool. That's worth it, yeah.
Yeah. So
I know that a Motley Crue does it. I carry Alice Cooper's. Alice Cooper's Reaper is awesome for a really hot one. I'll taste it every once in a while, but I have zero interest in using it on a daily basis. Cheech makes a good hot sauce.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
This stuff's good.
When you were talking about large batch labeling, out of your inventory,
Private labeling?
yeah, and not to pull back the curtain too much, but like, is there like, I don't know, like 3 really major companies that most of these things come from?
Not mine. I've limited it, but for instance, my stupid name, Good Sauces. There's a lot of people coming in for bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, and they just want a stupid gift to give out.
Yeah.
And
would you consider yourself to be more of a gift shop in some ways?
I am too. Yeah.
Well, because when people come over with the little bags, I'm like, oh, you went to Inferno, they got good stuff there. They're like, yeah, we didn't need any. We just bought this for
other people. Yeah. I will say there's people generally love the store. They come. I mean, there's people.
Yeah, it's cool.
They come in every year and they're super excited to come in, and it's cool. And I respect that. There are people that are coming in and they're literally like, I flew in. I'm here for a bachelorette party. I need a gift, and
yeah.
There you go.
I was about to say, do you have anything with dick on it? It's a bachelorette party.
There's a million.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
So that's part. Yep. There you go. I mean, I can't keep it in stock, but that's literally a sauce that someone came up with the label. And now the problem with that sauce is a lot of kids come up because it looks like Coca-Cola, and I'm like, please, parent, please realize what you're doing before you pay for this and get home. But
bringing the King of Pops and hot sauce all the way back around. I have a friend from Atlanta, Woody and Danny, married, beautiful little girl named Ruby. They visit every year, and they always come over here. So Kelly and I stayed at their house for an Humphreys New Year's one time while they were in Amsterdam, and I went into their house, and they have pretty much a rack. 90% of the sauces I know they got from here. They come here every year. They walk over. They find something that they haven't had before. They don't try and look on Amazon for anything. They're like, we want to go to Inferno, have the experience, sit in there, pick something new, and bring it back home. So do you have like year to year over at Huckapoo's, we have people coming through. Like, hey, we were here last year, and I'd like to remember all of them. You ever get people that are coming in like, Brian, what's up, man?
Absolutely.
And you're like, hey.
I'm not very good at that remembering thing, but
I'm terrible at it.
I can play it off good. But just as you are probably with drinks and I was with food and stuff, once they start talking about what they like, then I remember who they are. You know what I mean? Like.
So how long have you been open here?
April was 7 years.
No shit, really? Outside of, your work week here.
Very treacherous.
Has it turned into a more creative adventure for you? Because like the day to day, since you have an employee that, sells the shit for you, has it now become like an art project in some sort of way?
Kind of. I mean, I'm here on the weekends.
But I mean, just like working in kitchens, like,
yeah,
making
specials. I do,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to switch from that to retail. I needed to do it, and I lucked out with what I had, and I ended up on Tybee Island because of it. But
what was the pipeline? How did you end up down here?
I grew up. I was telling you, my mom's from Savannah. We had a house on the Bat River right next to the Back River Fishing Pier. It was an old boarding house built in the late 1800s, and we came down 3 weeks of summer, and it was 8 bedrooms. There was, to take a shower, you had to walk in the backyard. There was no AC, but all of our cousins came down, and we all stayed there, and it was the most important thing. I got pictures of it hanging up back here. My mom grew up on the sugar refinery at Dixie Crystal, and then so I grew up here in the summers with all my cousins, and then I grew up in Decatur, right outside of Atlanta, and then I got into the restaurant industry after some bad schooling decisions in college, and I love the restaurant industry, and then I opened one and it was good. Then I opened another one and it was good, and then I sold those two. And I always thought I wanted to live here, so I bought a house here, and it was on Miller, and I ended up renting it long term to some locals, and decided we were going to move here when my kids started first grade, and then
the kids were very young then.
I have one kid, one boy, and as soon as I sold those two, a guy that I'd worked with in the industry for 20 years was like, man, my dream's to open a restaurant. And I was like, all right, well, I'll do it one more time. But in 3 years, I'm out of here.
I have an exit plan.
So you can either buy me out, we can sell it, or whatever, but I'm gone. So I did that, and it was successful. And then he bought me out, and he's a good friend of mine still to this day. Unfortunately, COVID came. He did get rid of it finally in the end, but
so you had two at the same time at one point.
I had two at the same time.
And then sold them,
those,
started
bought a house here,
one.
and then started another one. And
in Atlanta, like any restaurant, like you, obviously you're not profitable right away, but do you think it was easier or harder because you were in Atlanta versus Savannah, and like turning the restaurant into something viable?
Savannah, I don't know anything about. I mean, to me, there's not enough restaurants. I mean, you could fill Savannah restaurants up, Yeah. All my restaurants were super tiny, and our concept was to go into off-put, like we weren't in we were outside of Decatur, outside of the Virginia Highlands. We would never pay the Maximus.
What was it thematically, like the food style? Was it all?
The first two I had were we cooked everything with MAM wood burning oven, so it was majority pizza, and then we would do wood plank cedar salmon. We did whatever fish was in town, and then my last one was just like a little neighborhood farm to table kind of place.
Okay,
with some buddies of mine, and it was.
What's the hood vent situation like on a coal? There
is no hood.
In the wood burning thing?
If you have if you cook everything with wood, then you only need a flue.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
We
literally, and it burned 365, 24 hours a day. Can never put it out. If someone forgot to close it off or not stoke the fire and they got drunk, because, I mean, this place is special, but most restaurants are all the same. They get toasted in the night and then they lock the door and forget their jobs. If you didn't stoke the fire and close it at the end of the night, it was a 2-day process of getting that oven back up.
Really?
Because the stone was 8 to 10 inches.
Oh,
thick,
right, yeah.
But it's the most primitive way of cooking. I mean, it's literally fire. So we had 5 entrees, and we did little 10-inch pizzas that cooked in
90 seconds.
Yeah. And it was awesome. It was fun. It was super fun. And one of them I had a cool music venue at, and had some pretty cool artists come through there, and I loved it. It just kind of ran its course, it didn't even run its course. It got to the point where it was valuable, and the guy I opened it with, we were like, let's just put it for sale and see what happens. And if it doesn't sell, we're good.
Yeah, we're still here to run it. If it
sold,
if not,
and both of them sold. That was the thing. You had to buy both of them. You couldn't.
I mean, there's a certain passion you have to have, even if it's not just for cooking, but for the business side of things. If you don't have that driving, I got to get more every day passion, it's sort of hard to sustain good mental health versus owning something like that, even though it's enjoyable in some sort of way. But there's got to be a point where it's especially if you're not the head chef, where it's you're doing literally all the creative work for the food coming out or whatever. There's got to be a point where it's all right, we've built it to a certain point. I think the value would be higher if we sold it now in terms of instead of continuing on. And
well, everything in a big city also revolves. So if you're cool for one point of time, something else cool down the road is going to open, and then everybody wants to take their friends down there. But I was 100%. That was our deal with me and my partners, was we're all 100% kitchen, so that if I want when on my day off, you're in the kitchen. On your day off, I'm in the kitchen. There's always, and that is my passion, and it's been kind of since I moved here what I've battled.
You miss it a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I did a little event the other day for a buddy of mine, did a small catering event for 40. I had a blast. It was awesome. But I mean, it's a young man's game. I was walking in at 9, 10 in the morning, walking out at 10 or 11 at night. And
people especially don't know, in the chef world, especially if you're a chef owner, you're going in because you want your hands on everything and want to make sure that everything is up to spec because, one bad plate of food goes out. You'll hear way more about that than every other amazing meal they've had before.
I was always kind of anti the chef word. I'm always consider myself a cook.
Yeah.
Even though it was my stuff, like the chef to me, I mean, I understand the chef world and you go and there are amazing chefs in the world and they know everything, but they're kind of the orchestrators.
Right.
They're not in there
they're not implementing everything.
I mean, I was, we were always in the mix and I do miss that. And it's so I'm trying, part of this place is me trying to replace that with like stuff that's interesting to me.
Sure. A way to be creative in the culinary world and whatever sector.
Retail-y.
There's something, the thing that has changed, in the past like 10 or 12 years, the whole like celebrity chef thing that's super annoying to me where it's like the rock starism of certain people. Now, sure, some people have really bombastic personalities. They do things really well, whatever. But certain chefs have become like, they think they're the arbiter of what taste is generally for everyone in the world. And you have your guys are like, if you don't like it, get out. Yeah. No substitutions on this, whatever. Now, there's a certain thing to be said for you have an idea for what you want. You're coming into my place. This is what you're getting, sort of thing. But I hate that concept of the chef is the star, because typically the real chef, the real cook, he's back there from 9 a.m. till midnight, cutting tomatoes, prepping,
just making it happen,
making it actually happen. Not like I'm gonna yell so that someone notices me. And
there are chefs that are well deserved, and I love them. I mean, I read Mashama Bailey's book last year from the downtown, the chef from the Great.
Oh yeah.
And just how that all came about, and like that's what I love about that industry, and that's what I miss.
Mir Ali, my buddy,
he's awesome. I mean, and it's usually the ones that you don't notice. You know what I mean? You go eat.
You're like, oh, that was fantastic.
And speaking of tying hot ones into chefs, the guy that yells at everybody, what's his name?
Gordon Ramsay. Yeah.
Have you seen his hot ones?
Yeah.
Oh God. And he's like squeezing lemons in his eyes and down, and I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is, he has to uphold this like personality now, whatever. But I read it at AMA with him. The most gracious guy.
Is he? Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, selling your soul to be like, oh, I have to play a character. It's like, hey, you can be you.
Yeah.
You don't have to act like a jerk off, man. Just be a good cook, whatever. But it's sort of a strange thing. Well, at least here you don't have to have something that you uphold, like we're talking about, like the Smoke and Ed curries, developing peppers. Hopefully people don't expect you to have to be able to, endure the hottest of hot sauces every day. It's just like people come in and they're like, do a shot with me. I'm like, I just did one, man. I can't do a shot every time you guys want to do a shot. I'm not going to suck the devil's toenail every time you guys want to come in here and eat one of these fucking 9 million Scoville gummy bears, Have you enjoyed, even though it's a strange transition coming from, like the sweaty kitchen world where it's like, orders are coming in, the task mastering, the logistics of making sure everything's running perfectly in a high pressure situation. This is low pressure.
Very low.
Comparatively.
Very low.
Yeah, comparatively to that. Is that the next missing piece? Is that the next missing piece to fill that gap that you were looking for?
I don't know. I keep trying to.
Well, you've done like chili cook-offs and shit out here, right?
Yeah, we've done stuff. I mean,
like, have you done like some low country boils out here?
Yeah, we did. We spent a whole summer with Matt, who does my Instagram, Matt Ferry. Amazing Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. He's really dumb when it comes to posts, but you'll love all of them.
That's a good endorsement.
You ready? He's hilarious.
You want to see some dumb shit?
You're welcome, Matt. We did a full summer where we basically made hot sauces out here every Friday, and people would come over, and because they were burning, we had the burners out here.
Sure.
And we've done a few Cuban cookouts out here and stuff. But yeah, I mean, when I'm busy here.
Sure,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? So we come up with ideas, and then it's like, oh shit, well, there's people walking in the door. Like, you got to take care of them. So
How often are you workshop? I mean, because you already have a litany of flavors and rubs. I didn't even realize how many rubs there were. But a litany of flavors. Is it just like if you discover like, I don't know, does it come into a dream like, pineapple and Scotch bonnet would be good together? You know, is that part of the creative process?
I wish I could say so.
My buddy Danny Rapicelli and I, we tried to sort of recreate the jalapeno green Tabasco sauce, and we fermented it for a while. And I guess we didn't seal the jars well enough because
Turned into bombs.
it kind of turned into bombs and some other green colors that weren't. From just to wrap up here, from like start to finish, making a good hot sauce. Like say you just wanted to use a pepper, is it chop the peppers, boil the peppers, vinegar the peppers, age the peppers?
I mean, if I'm aging them, I don't even chop them. I do a ferment, usually with straight peppers, garlic cloves, whatever ferment. Some veggies you ferment, they get too mushy, but we'll do a ferment for a month, and then it's kind of judge the solids versus liquids to get a good blend, and then maybe blend it up. You might have to make like like a corn starch and water flurry, or thicken it up or something. But it basically, like any good food, just comes down to the ingredients.
Sure, yeah, of course, yeah. Start with good ingredients.
A lot of people, a lot of cool places use carrots as base. I mean, there's instead, a lot of the cheaper companies will try to use tomato paste as their base. A lot of my favorite hot sauces mostly come from the islands, the Caribbeans, and I like the Scotch bonnets and stuff. Mary Sharp's from Belize.
I was about to say Mary Sharp's is great
all
too.
That stuff's carrot based usually.
Really? Yeah. I think there was is it the Aardvark?
Secret Aardvark, Oregon. Their habanero.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I thought that might have been carrot based for some reason.
They might have carrot. I mean, they might be carrots. Yeah.
But what is it? Mary
Sharp's.
Mary Sharp's. I'd seen it the first time I saw it. I was like, I want some white lady's hot sauce. It didn't seem very Caribbean to me. You know what I mean? I was like, what do I want? A chicken pot pie here? Like what is Marie Clark? I don't trust a name like Marie Clark for my hot sauce, but it turned out to be amazing because over at Sunday Cafe, they just had a big basket of them, and I would get country fried steak, and they just hand me the big basket so I could put little dabs of each of them onto there. So just to finish it up, what's your recommendation for your own personal hot sauces that people come in here to try for the first time?
I recommend for sure the garlic habanero. If someone doesn't like hot sauce, the Vidalia onion peach is the go-to. I mean, I sell tons of that.
Very Georgia.
Wow. Georgia.
Yeah, very
People
Georgia.
love that when they're visiting here.
I never even heard of it.
Also, even if you do love hot sauce, but you're making a charcuterie board or a cheese plate for someone, is a great substitute for like the spicy jam or whatever.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then for the hotter end, the Tybee Reaper's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of seeds taken out, so even for a Reaper, it's not stupid hot. It's nice and smoky.
It's a little truncated, but and here in front of us, there's 100 open bottles. It's pretty much everything outside of I don't know. It's pretty much everything open for.
We
to taste
try
test.
to let everything. Yeah, if someone comes in and wants something that's not open, if we have it in stock, we'll let them open it.
Yeah, so no pressure. You can come in and give it a little taste before you buy.
Absolutely, you can.
Well, good, man.
You want to do the Tybee bomb for all your fans to sign off? I'm just kidding. I don't want to. So
I was like, man. I mean, if we have to, I mean, I think this podcast was a Tybee bomb. Well, but Brian, thank you so much for joining us, man. Glad to have it here. Especially, we're gonna shoot some B-roll so that you guys can see the rest of the shop, man. It's amazing. It's right across from Huckapoo's on Tybee Island, Georgia. Inferno hot sauces. Please come check it out, local or not. And you can taste test any of them. They're right here. I especially enjoy cock sauce.
Enjoy cock sauce.
I mean, literally enjoy it. All right, thank you guys. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.